All right, welcome back to the Culture Coach. I'm so excited about our guest today, Kym Insana. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So excited to have this conversation, hear more about your company and the work that you do. But start out by telling the audience a little bit about yourself, where you are, and how you got there.
So I am a wife and a mom of 4 boys. I started AlwaysOn Digital. We just are in our 9th year now, so we're hitting our 9-year anniversary. I got here through, starting in the advertising space about 25 years ago, and went through a lot of corporate roles, and then just found myself really wanting to have that balance with my family, and decided to go off on my own without any prior knowledge of how to do it, and jump right in to be, someone that could provide a culture in an office environment for others like me.
I love that. And I'm excited to hear about that culture. Tell me a little bit about what your business does.
So we offer advertising solutions for agencies and brands. We partner with both, and we offer everything from social media to display advertising, traditional advertising, audio, connected TV. So myriad of things, everything from helping with strategy all the way to your execution.
Okay. And is that what you did in corporate?
I did. I was mainly on just digital. I started in radio right out of high school, but I was moved to digital quickly after.
Awesome. Okay. Well, so can you share the story behind your company's mission? I know there's a story about working parents there and why it holds such personal significance for you.
Yeah, so our mission really is twofold. It is about the people first, because they're really what makes a difference. It was a personal mission of mine to be able to have a work-life balance. And I don't think we're ever truly balanced. It's like a seesaw, and it's about being having balance, but not being balanced. I don't think we're ever really in that middle. And I was kind of struggling after having, 3 kids and commuting about 2 hours each way. And I noticed that other parents were struggling as well. But when I was in radio, there was always this idea of a job share where, 2 people would work on the same stuff and kind of take turns. And with that, they each really had that balance. And I felt like with the internet and as we had laptops and cell phones, we should be able to do that ourselves. And so our mission really was about providing a balance, in terms of for the people part of things. And then from the, business side of things, we wanted to provide a customer service that was unparalleled. So there's a lot of companies out there doing advertising, but it's really about the care and dedication that went into it. That, in some of the roles that I was in, that we saw what made a difference and what retained clients. And that, it's not about how many advertisers you have or clients you have. It's about the quality of the relationships that you have. And so those are kind of like our twofold mission.
And do you feel like those two support each other?
Absolutely. Because just as you want to put the same attention into your family and having, work-life balance, I feel like we are more appreciative of the roles and the opportunities we have when we have that happiness and well-being at home. When you have turmoil at home because you can't make something and you're not there for your kids and you see that they're struggling and you can't help them, that doesn't necessarily make you a better employee. And when you have when you're in your workspace and you're appreciated and you're doing good things and good with the world, that kind of brings you home happier too, right? So it's like in both your worlds, you can turn one off and the other, but as long as you're happy in both, I think that kind of gives you that balance.
Yeah. And so how have you gone about creating an environment that supports that mission for your employees and for the customers?
So it's funny, our customers, a lot of them have come with us and we've had relationships. So we definitely are gaining customers through relationships versus, kind of just cold calling. It does sometimes take a little while for people to understand. I think COVID has really helped us because prior to that, no one worked from home and no one worked these weird hours. And we do weekend hours and we do holiday hours. So it's not just, someone's not working at 3 o'clock maybe to do a pickup. It's, there's a lot of flexible schedules. And so our mission is really to, allow our team to have that freedom and flexibility, but knowing we're going to get back, tenfold from a customer service standpoint and performance at work. And so our clients, a lot of times, they'll call us and I'm like, okay, I'm on a pickup line, but, we're going to do the call now and I'll get you whatever you need. And we're here for you, but we may just be in a different place. Obviously, COVID helped that because I've been on calls before where people are like, oh, UPS is here. I got to just go get that, my package. Or during COVID when their groceries were being shipped and, people understood that flexibility. And so that has really helped us, even though we were doing it before then. It really just allows our clients to understand you don't have to be sitting at your desk necessarily to do something. And then when they see the performance and the customer service, that's when it really doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah. And so it sounds like for your employees that you've created you're allowing them to just really set their own schedule as long as they're assisting there for the customer. Is that accurate? Yes. Or okay.
So we're very transparent with our conversation. So, are you only able to work certain hours? What are those hours? What's too much? We do constant check-ins with the team on, where you are. Do you want more work? Do you want more hours? Do you need to pull back and have less? And so from a client perspective, what we want them to feel is that nothing is changing, that they have service kind of 24/7. Yeah, right? Yeah. We do need to sleep too.
Yeah.
Don't name your company AlwaysOn Digital. That's the wrong message. That's kidding. But we have shifts basically. So there's overlap. Maybe someone can only work till noon because they want to spend a little more time. We have some people that have young children, so they're in daycare for only the morning, but they're going to go pick them up and want to spend time with them. So after noon, someone else takes over. But there are aliases and, email aliases that everyone is on these chains. We use Slack. So we really communicate all day long. So everyone kind of knows what's going on, but people have the ability to step back and know someone else has your back. And that shift schedule has really helped us. And when we hire people, we are transparent. This may only be 10 hours a week for now, or it may increase to this. Are you able to handle this? And, kind of what is your schedule? And obviously those regular check-ins are critical.
That sounds amazing. And it sounds like you really are able to support those working moms, maybe even dads.
Yeah.
Or is it all women, or do you have men on your team?
We have men on the team, and we've had people that don't have children, that want flexibility for their life, that have wanted to travel. And, and that's fine because maybe we need somebody who's on a different time zone to help service a client and kind of, take the baton for the second half of the day. Or, if we're working with a client in the UK, we need different hours. So that's really allowed us to expand our business globally when we have people that are, working these hours.
That's great. Not every company is like you, obviously. So for working moms that maybe don't have access to an organization like yours, a culture like yours, how would you recommend that working moms kind of manage that balance that they're looking for with a high-powered career and their family life? Is that possible?
I think it is. And I want to say COVID has helped in this sense, where there has been more flexibility. I know in our industry specifically, there has been a lot of mandates to return to office. And I do believe in an office environment. I do, because I wouldn't have learned as much as I did if I wasn't exposed to others. And so, there is that balance and challenge. But if you are in an environment where you don't have flexibility, I think it is on you a little bit to kind of try to bring it to the table. And it's about trust. So some companies are afraid of it because they think everyone's home watching Netflix, or they're just doing their laundry or something else, or they're out to lunch with their friends. But if you've been at a place for a while and you're a proven performer, start small. Would it be okay if I worked from home 1 day a week? Or would it be okay if I wasn't available during these hours, but I'm going to be available from 6 to 7 instead of 3 to 4, because that's a critical time for me and my family, and being able to shut it off. Same time, as an employee, if your company is not affording you that balance, then to be honest, I probably would shut down at whatever quitting time is, and that's it. Because we have a tendency to be always accessible, and that's at the end of the day, it's just taking away your hourly rate. If you're working until 10 o'clock at night and answering emails at 10 o'clock at night, what is that really saying for your salary? You're not giving yourself that time. So in the situations where you get that flexibility, I think yes, you should be answering emails, and not that you're begging or so overly grateful for it, but if you show that, I think that's how you can end up getting more flexibility. If you're not getting any flexibility, maybe you can find a place that does have it, but if there aren't other opportunities, I probably would be tougher on shutting down at a certain time, because you did not offer me that opportunity to spend time with my family. And guess what? From 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., that is my time with my family, just like it's my weekend time to be respected. And companies need to understand that.
Yeah, so true. And I know from my own personal burnout journey, I realized that in retrospect that there was a role that I played in my burnout, right? There were things that I should have done to set boundaries and protect my well-being. And there was a responsibility of the organization to have more distributed workload, to, there was a mismatch between my personal values and the organization's values that I ignored for a long time because the pay was so good, right? So it's this balance of, my role in it and then the organization's role. And it sounds like you're creating an environment that the employees, as long as they're setting their boundaries for themselves, you're creating a workspace that allows them to have that flexibility and freedom to not burn out. And then it's just up to them to set those boundaries. It's so great.
Yeah. Thank you. It's not perfect. I will say that.
Sure. Nothing is.
We do have situations and times of the year where it is a little more stressful, and sometimes we do ask for more, but the boundaries is key. And sometimes people say yes, and sometimes people say no. So it is always the transparency and conversation are the most important things, because otherwise that's where burnout happens, because you're not asking somebody permission first. You already have these boundaries set.
You're so right. Communication is key. And the story that you said, if you just at least ask, I had a chief marketing officer early on in the podcast, over a year ago now. And she said, she was a CMO of a large organization. And she said to the CEO before she took the job, look, my son is in sports. I don't want to miss a game. So I'm going to leave here at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock and I'll go to his game. I'll get back on my computer later, but this is the most important thing to me right now. So if that doesn't work for you, then I'm not going to take the job. And he said yes. And she began working there. And there did come a time where he asked her to travel, in a time when her son had a championship game or something. And she had to say, look, this is what I asked for. I need for you to respect that. And he actually, they compromised. She went on the trip, but he paid to live stream. It was an international trip that she had to take, and he live streamed the game. I mean, he was in high school at a football game. He had a video crew go to the football game and record it and live stream it to her hotel so that she could be there virtually, So my point is, I think you're so right that if you at least voice your boundaries, and if you're a hard worker, and she proved, look, I'm going to be the best chief marketing officer you've ever had, but I need this give and take. And it was reciprocated.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes we get comfortable in a situation and maybe someone takes advantage a little more. And I'm glad she did that, because it could have been a situation where the boss is just starting to creep into the boundaries. Sometimes you have to like pull back and say, hold on. But we also have to be willing to compromise too, because sometimes there is a business need and we have to be there. And I think that's wonderful. I mean, that's a wonderful experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of remote workers, and being, the value of your business is that flexibility and being able to work where they want. How do you create a culture and lead teams in such a dispersed, when your workplace is remote? Has that been difficult, or have you found unique ways to engage employees that are remote?
So I think, really having to have multiple conversations a week, and we use video chat. If we've had employees that have gone through situations in their career where they were uncomfortable with video with clients, but we do kind of need to see people. It's not that I need to see you to check, but body language is important, and you're feeling like you're closer, especially if you're not together. But for people that are more local, we try to get together when we can, whether it be for lunch or just something. It's important to have one-on-ones. I really feel like even if I'm not somebody's, day-to-day point of contact within the company, to do a one-on-one once a month or something like that, just to check in. And we try to be, engage in fun ways as well that are, maybe we're not doing the office a happy hour or things like that, but we try to do swag. And so right now, we are in the process of creating t-shirts, and I love dad jokes. Honestly, I think I love to laugh. And so, I chat GPT like all these, what are great things to put on a t-shirt. And we found like a couple of funny things, and we started a group chat with like t-shirt ideas, and people are voting. So we try to create culture, and we had this, over the holidays, we did, it was like a white elephant, except I got all the gifts for everybody to kind of share, but they were all mugs, and they were mugs that said funny things like "you're on mute" or "I'm a big deal" or "employee of the month runner up." And so we try to do these fun things, little bits here and there where we can sprinkle in to make people feel connected, and like we have an inside joke. And I have Betty White above behind me, and that's a big joke. That was a big joke when I kind of got that picture. And so we try to have fun in those ways, because we aren't together, but at the end of the day, it's a serious business, and we're trying to grow and do the right thing. So I think it's easier when you have these relationships and we know what's going on in each other's lives, that when you have to have the work conversation, it's, our employees know that we care about them.
Yeah, that's good. And that's so important. I think, connection is one of the most important things that we can create for our employees. That creates the engagement, that makes them more loyal. And you spoke about trust and transparency and communication. I think those are all just keys to a successful culture. I'd love to talk a little bit about digital marketing now, and your business. I'm curious, in the work that you do, what distinguishes brands that thrive in digital marketing from those that are facing ongoing struggles?
So, people have to have patience. And I think, as I always blame cell phones for everything, but we're so used to having everything immediately and on our phone, or someone asks a question and we just Google it and it's there. And with advertising, it's not that fast, because people don't make decisions that fast. They may want the information, but they don't always buy that fast. And we have to have patience. And if you don't have patience and understand the importance of testing different things, and you may not know your audience, and being open to change and suggestions, a lot of times, advertisers will come to the table and say, this is who our customer is, and that's who we want to market to, and that's it. But then when you start to look at the metrics and who's actually buying, maybe that's not who it is. And why don't you try a different angle? And a lot of times that costs money. You're putting money into creative resources. You're putting money into testing different platforms. So, the main thing is obviously, budget too, but patience and not trying to rush to the finish line, because that journey is so critical in understanding, kind of where you should be and what you should be doing.
And what would you say, with all the different digital marketing options, how do you choose?
So it's not as, it's all the time. Unfortunately, there's a lot of testing. Certain platforms are geared towards other folks, and I don't want to, my kids are like, oh, you're on Facebook, you're old. But yeah, maybe that's where you find people over a certain age. Instagram is going to be a little bit younger. And then you've got like a Snapchat, which is even younger than that. And so it really depends on, what the target is, what type of product it is, who's going to buy it, and what information do they need in order to make that purchase. So is it something they need to really learn about first? Maybe there should be an informative YouTube about it, and we're running video so that this is the way to get the consumer's attention, because they have to really learn what it is. Or maybe you're selling shoes and it's just about hitting somebody over and over again with an ad. And we actually had a discussion a couple of weeks ago on our team meeting. We have a Thursday team meeting, and someone made a comment. Is anyone clicking and buying on an ad here? We were trying to talk about what to do for this advertiser. And, someone said no. And I said, you know what? Not true, because I think it was Tom's. I was going on a vacation and I was like, I need new sandals. And I must have saw the ad 18 times, which is a crazy number. But I was clicking on it probably every other. I was adding shoes to my cart. Do I want black? Do I want tan? I'm not sure. This went on for a month, and I was clicking on these Facebook ads every time, or Instagram ad.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
It's so important, to understand the journey and consumer behavior. And maybe, who your target is going to be on Facebook, but you also need to get them on Instagram and use different, pixels and targeting ways to also, maybe now you get them on LinkedIn or you get them on a display banner, but understanding that journey and trying to find an avenue. And if you have the budget, obviously you can do all of those, but thinking about where that person is and how they react and how they buy that thing.
Yeah. I'm curious if you, I feel like, I'm a solopreneur. I don't have a team. I'm the chief marketing officer. I'm the CEO, all the things. And so when I think about promoting myself and my company, on these platforms, LinkedIn is my go-to, because I'm B2B. I'm trying to sell to CEOs, CHROs, and, so I think that Facebook, I wouldn't pay for an ad on Facebook or Instagram, and so I feel like it's not even worth my time to be on there at all, because it's so diluted that if I'm just doing organic on Facebook or Instagram, that it's not going to show up anywhere. Is that true, or is that not true?
So your organic, I always recommend posting organically, at least. And your organic is going to reach a certain % of your followers. It's not going to reach everyone, and it's not going to reach a ton of new people. But your consistency in that gets rewarded. It gets rewarded from the algorithms. It gets rewarded because just being out there more, someone may see it, someone likes it. And if you look at, these apps are always changing, but sometimes when you're on Instagram and you something pops up in your feed, you may see now on top, it shows like who else liked it, who of your friends, your followers that may have liked this ad or this video or whatever the image is. And so, they liked it, maybe I should see what this is. So that's where there is opportunity. And I always feel that a brand needs a personality, whatever it is. And so if, in whatever you're doing and you're specializing in, talk about that, promote that, show that, because people don't just buy from a company. They like to have an emotional connection, and Instagram and Facebook or any other platform, that's your way of showing who you are and telling your story. And then if you obviously have lots of money and you want to go into paid ads, that lets you target other people. And a lot of these, we have a business page, even though we are B2B. We're on Instagram. We're trying to be on Facebook because we know that somebody who may be the target audience has other elements to themselves. They're not just working all the time. They're, and algorithms really are pretty smart. And I have middle schoolers who are obsessed with these weird haircuts now. And I knew they were on my Instagram because last night I went to go on Instagram and I only had content that was about boys' haircuts, some Gauge 16 haircut. I don't even know what this is. And it's like I'm watching haircut videos over and over. And my whole feed is ruined now because they destroyed my algorithm. But side note, because they don't have social media, they're not allowed it. So when
they got on your phone,
I see what happens there. But it goes to show that, the whole self. So maybe whatever I'm a candidate for, there could be something else that appears in my feed, and then it changes your algorithm, and then you start to watch this type of content.
Okay. And do you recommend that if, like, let's say let's say it this way. Do you recommend that it's a different messaging for like a LinkedIn versus a Facebook, Instagram?
Absolutely. Unless it's something very specific but for the most part, it's like you're, like Mr. Rogers, Mr. Rogers at work, and then he comes home and he changes his clothes and it's like you go home and you put your sweatpants on mindset. So like the work mindset, and then coming home, and I was thinking of that Barbie. I had that Barbie like thing. She was like work and then home, like at the office, and then she took off one thing, and it was like a workout outfit or something. I don't know. But that like how we switch our like where we are and speak that way, kind of.
Wonderful. Okay, well. I mean, this has been a great conversation. I think what you are building from a culture perspective is great. Anything that you would share with other leaders that are looking to build a culture, just an intentional culture, any advice that you would give?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that people need to put themselves in the shoes of their employees, and maybe there is an age gap, but we all kind of want the same thing, right? We're all striving for happiness. We want to be happy, whatever that is. And so if you're a CEO, and I've seen some horror stories lately on the internet about CEOs demanding people come back to the office, or, doing XYZ or whatever they think is making somebody happy, like just talk to them, do a survey, do an internal survey. Ask what makes somebody happy. I managed a team for years of different people, and it was a sales organization. So people would say, we're going to do a bonus for the next, deal that comes in. We're going to give you, $100 or something. And I had somebody on my team that money would not motivate him. And he was one of the highest sellers, and money wouldn't motivate him. What motivated him was being able to leave at 4:30 and catch the earlier train. And that's what I offered him. If you come in with the next deal, you can leave at 4:30, 3 days a week or whatever. That made a difference because he wasn't getting home at 7 p.m. And that was the trigger for him. So if you're a CEO and you're looking for a culture, I think it's important to talk to your team. It goes back to communication. Put yourself in their shoes. What makes them happy? What are they looking? And once you start to, and obviously we can't give everything to what somebody wants, but understand where they're coming from, and maybe there is a compromise similar to that situation with that CMO. What is the compromise that you could give them? And it doesn't have to be blanket for everyone. It is okay for things to be different. Like, that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that, to have different scenarios for different folks. The larger your organization is, obviously, the harder that is. But if you're trying to really drive culture and have people, trying to force the Kool-Aid down somebody is never going to work, ever. But if you can make it where they're helping you make that Kool-Aid, then it's a different story. So, have them be part of it.
So true. Amazing. Okay. If somebody wants to work with you, where can they find you?
So I'm on LinkedIn. My name is spelled Kym. You can't get a pencil with it, but at least, it's a little different, I guess. So I'm Kym Insana, Insana, or you could email me. I'm Kym@getawayson.com.
Wonderful. I'll put that in the show notes. It has been so great to have you on, Kym. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Wendy. It was so nice meeting you, and I appreciate the time.